So, the readings today, what do you think about the readings? Wow. They were heavy, and yeah, I chose not to have the children's sermon connected with the gospel for today because, wow, it's heavy and it's tough. All it's known, the gospel message, as a little apocalypse. You may have heard that before because of its powerful and prophetic tone. Jesus and his disciples are in Jerusalem looking at the great stones of the temple, which to them represents strength and faith and permanence. But Jesus warns even these stones will not last because they will be thrown down. This warning might feel a little bit unsettling, but it holds a message for all who follow him. The structures and institutions, the empires we build are not our ultimate hope for salvation. Not even, and maybe especially not, church buildings. Instead, we are called to live into the vision that sees beyond this earthly power and earthly permanence. There's one book in the New Testament that is apocalyptic, and this book is Revelation, yes, the last book of our Bible. And I preached about this book a little bit sometimes, but just to make it easier, here is a short summary. Revelation is a book about vision of the end times with turmoil and disasters, which then culminates in the creation of a new heaven and a new earth. And in that new creation, God dwells among people, and there is eternal peace. So, apocalyptic literature was written to people going through extraordinary suffering to remind them that their struggle is not meaningless, that God's justice would ultimately prevail, and that God would restore all things. Imagine the early Christians who first heard the words of Mark's gospel. In the year 70, Jerusalem was destroyed. And the temple, the center of the faith for many, was in ruins. They must have wondered how they could carry on without their special and sacred place. But the gospel reminds them that God is not contained in one building, no matter how grand that building it is. God's presence is in the world, in their relationships, in their communities of love and resilience. It was a call to shift their focus from what was lost to what is coming, the dawn of God's kingdom. When we encounter devastation or uncertainty today, we too are tempted to ask, is this the end? Whether it's global issues, societal challenges, elections, deficit in the budget, or personal struggles, we often feel the ground is shaking under us. But Jesus' words in Mark invite us to see beyond what is crumbling. He calls us to live by hope, to remember that God is at work even when things seem dark, bringing redemption, reconciliation, and new life. And I talked a little bit about Saint Martin this past Sunday and his conversion story, because here we have figures like Saint Martin. And it's such a powerful example. Martin, once a soldier, experienced his own conversion shifting from a life of conflict to a life of compassion. Through God's grace, he became a new creation, dedicating his life to the work of peace and justice. And this transformation speaks to the very core of Jesus' message in Mark, that even amid brokenness, there is hope. This brings us to another powerful historical symbol. Let me see my history lovers here. The end of World War I, which happened officially on St. Martin's Day, November 11. We just had that. After years of destruction and chaos, the choice of this day for peace had a deep and hopeful symbolism. The end of war represented, as St. Martin's life did, a new beginning and a new possibility for a peaceful world. And, well, as history shows, the fight for peace and justice is ongoing. But this is exactly why Jesus' words are still relevant. They remind us that no matter how many stones fall, God's peace and justice is always within reach, urging us to be instruments of this peace today. So this little apocalypse is not a prediction of despair, but it's a promise for new life. It reassures us that God's love is the foundation that cannot be shaken. We are reminded to be vigilant, not in fear, but in readiness to shine our light, to share God's love, and to stand as witnesses to God's enduring presence in a world that is constantly changing. So, as we face our own times of uncertainty, let us remember that God is with us, even and especially when the stones fall. Our hope is not in the structures we build. Our ministry is not in buildings, but our ministry is in the God who is building the kingdom of justice, compassion, and peace. We are invited to be part of that vision, to trust that the light shines in the darkness, and that darkness will never overcome it. Amen.